The desperate signal, Captain Sarah. Mitchell had always loved the quiet hours on the bridge of the Terror's Edge. The exploration vessel had been her home for 3 years now, mapping the outer reaches of human space and searching for signs of other intelligent life. Tonight was different, though. Tonight, the universe decided to answer back. The bridge hummed with the usual sounds of deep space travel when Lieutenant Rodriguez called out from the communications station. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange. It's not on any frequency we've seen before." Sarah walked over to the communications console, her boots clicking against the metal deck. The crew had been monitoring space for weeks without finding anything more interesting than cosmic background radiation. "What kind of strange, Rodriguez?" "It's encrypted, but the computer is working on it. The signal strength suggests it came from way outside our mapped territory, at least 15 light beyond our furthest colonies." The main screen flickered to life, showing wave patterns and data streams. Sarah studied the readouts carefully. In 3 years of deep space exploration, they had never encountered anything like this. "How long until we can decode it?" "The computer estimates another 10 minutes, Captain. But there's something else. The signal isn't just strong, it's being broadcast on multiple frequencies simultaneously. Someone really wants this message to be heard." Sarah felt her pulse quicken. This could be it. The moment humanity had been preparing for since they first looked up at the stars. First contact with alien intelligence. She activated the ship's internal communication system. All senior staff to the bridge immediately. This is not a drill. Within minutes, her core team had assembled. Commander Jackson from Tactical, Dr. Alina Vasquez from the Science Department, and Chief Engineer Murphy from the engine room. They all looked curious but alert. "Rodriguez, status on that signal?" Sarah asked. "Just came through, Captain. Computer has decoded it. It's definitely alien, and it's definitely a distress call." The bridge fell silent. Sarah could hear her own heartbeat, put it through the speakers. The voice that filled the bridge was unlike anything they had ever heard. It was melodic, almost musical, but there was unmistakable fear in the alien words. The computer's translation came through a moment later in a calm, synthetic voice. "This is Elder Kess of the Zephyrian Collective, broadcasting on all emergency frequencies. Our star system is under attack by entities we call the Devourers. They consume entire worlds, leaving nothing behind. Our defenses have failed. Our colonies are falling one by one. This may be our final transmission. If any species in the galaxy can hear this message, please know that we try to preserve the knowledge and culture of our people. We leave this record so that others might learn from our fate and prepare for what may come." The message repeated 3 times, then cut to static. The bridge crew stared at each other in stunned silence. Dr. Vasquez was the first to speak. "Captain, the language patterns are incredibly complex. This species is highly intelligent, possibly more advanced than us in some areas. Commander." Jackson looked grim. "What are these Devourers they mentioned?" Sarah was already thinking ahead. "Rodriguez, get me a direct line to Earth Command. Priority Alpha. We need to report this immediately." The communication to Earth took 18 minutes due to the distance. When Admiral Patricia Stone appeared on the main screen, her face was serious. Sarah had served under Stone before being given command of the Terror's Edge, and she knew the Admiral well enough to read the concern in her expression. "Captain Mitchell, I've reviewed your report. The Zephyrian signal has been detected by 3 other ships in the Outer Rim. Command, is taking this very seriously. What are your orders, Admiral? Return to Earth immediately. But first, I need you to triangulate the source of that signal. We need to know exactly where it came from. Sarah nodded to her navigation officer, who had already been working on the problem. Admiral, we've located the source. It's coming from a system approximately 12 days away at maximum hyperspace speed. The system contains 7 planets, and the signal originated from the 3rd planet. Admiral Stone was quiet for a moment, clearly considering the implications. Captain, what's your assessment of the situation? Ma'am, if this species is as advanced as Dr. Vasquez believes, and they're calling for galaxy-wide help, then whatever they're facing is beyond their ability to handle. These devourers could be a threat to everyone, including us. My thoughts exactly. Return to Earth at once. We're convening an emergency session of the Planetary Defense Council. The journey back to Earth took 4 days. During that time, Sarah couldn't stop thinking about the fear in Elder Kess's voice. The Zephyrians were clearly a peaceful species, reaching out in desperation to anyone who might listen. Humanity had spent decades preparing for the day they would encounter other intelligent life. They had built the largest space fleet in their history just in case that first contact went badly. Now it seemed like they might need every ship they had built. When the Terra's Edge docked at Lunar Station, Sarah was immediately transported to Earth Command Headquarters. The Planetary Defense Council was already in session when she arrived. Admiral Stone introduced her to the other members, including Fleet Admiral David Chen, the man who commanded humanity's entire space navy. Admiral Chen was a legend in the military. He had designed most of the tactics that the fleet used, and he had personally overseen the construction of the massive dreadnought ships that formed the backbone of human space power. Sarah had never met him in person, but his reputation preceded him. Captain Mitchell, Admiral Chen said, "Tell us about this alien signal. Leave nothing out." Sarah recounted everything they had discovered: the advanced encryption, the multiple frequency broadcast, the fear in Elder Kess's voice, and the mention of something called devourers that consumed entire worlds. When she finished, the room was quiet. General Martinez from the ground forces spoke first. "How do we know this isn't some kind of trap? Maybe these aliens are trying to lure us into an ambush." Dr. Sarah Kim from the Xenobiology Department shook her head. "General, I've analyzed the language patterns and vocal stress indicators. The fear in that transmission was genuine. Whatever these Zephyrians are facing, they're terrified of it." Admiral Chen stood up and walked to the large display screen showing the galaxy map. "The question isn't whether the threat is real. The question is what we do about it." "Sir," Sarah said, "with respect, I think we have to help them. If these devourers are capable of destroying an advanced civilization, they might eventually come for us too." "My thoughts exactly, Captain, Admiral." Chen pointed to the location of the Zephyrian system on the map. "Here's what we're going to do. I'm ordering the immediate deployment of the entire First Fleet, every dreadnought, every cruiser, every destroyer we have. We're going to the Zephyrian system, and we're going to find out what these devourers are capable of." The room erupted in surprised voices. The First Fleet was humanity's most powerful military force. It had never been deployed all at once, not even during the worst conflicts in human history. Admiral Stone looked concerned. "David, are you sure about this? Deploying the entire First Fleet leaves Earth's defenses weakened." "Patricia, if these devourers are as dangerous as they sound, Earth's best defense is stopping them before they get here. We're going to show them that humanity doesn't abandon those who call for help. Sarah felt a surge of pride. This was what made humanity special. They could have ignored the alien signal, pretended they never heard it, and continued with their isolated existence. Instead, they were preparing to risk everything to help a species they had never met. Over the next week, the largest military mobilization in human history took place. The first fleet consisted of 12 dreadnought battleships, 30 heavy cruisers, 50 destroyers, and over 100 support vessels. Nearly 200,000 men and women prepared for what might be the most important mission in human history. Admiral Chen personally took command of the fleet aboard the dreadnought Indomitable, humanity's most advanced warship. Sarah was transferred to serve as his intelligence officer, given her first-hand knowledge of the alien signal. The night before departure, Sarah stood in the observation deck of the Indomitable, looking out at the assembled fleet. Ships stretched as far as the eye could see, their running lights creating a constellation of human determination. Tomorrow, they would jump to hyperspace and begin the 12-day journey to the Zephyrian system. Impressive sight, isn't it? Admiral Chen had joined her at the observation window. Yes, sir. I never thought I'd see the day when humanity deployed its entire fleet for a species we've never met. That's what makes us human, Captain. We don't fight just for ourselves. We fight for anyone who needs help. He paused, studying the ships before them. The truth is, we don't know what we're going to find when we get there. The Zephyrians might already be gone. These devourers might be more powerful than anything we can handle. But we're going anyway. Because that's who we are. Sarah nodded. Sir, what do you think we'll find? I think we're about to find out why the rest of the galaxy calls us Deathworlders, Captain. And I think these devourers are about to learn what happens when they threaten innocent people while humanity is watching. The next morning, the first fleet departed Earth space. 200 ships and 200,000 humans, traveling toward an unknown enemy to save an alien species they had never seen. As the fleet entered hyperspace, Sarah thought about Elder Kess and hoped they would arrive in time. In the Zephyrian system, Elder Kess stood on the observation platform of the last remaining city on their homeworld. The sky was dark with devourer ships, and the sounds of battle echoed across the landscape. Their defenses were failing, their people were dying, and their distress signal had received no response. As another explosion lit up the sky, Elder Kess wondered if anyone in the galaxy had heard their call for help, if their message had reached any species that might care about the fate of strangers. The answer was coming, racing through hyperspace toward them, but Elder Kess didn't know that. Yet, the human fleet was 12 hours away, and the real battle was about to begin. When Deathworlders fight back, the first fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyrian system, and what they saw made even the most veteran officers pause. In shock, the system was under siege. Massive, dark ships, each the size of a city, surrounded the inner planets. These had to be the devourers that Elder Kess had warned about. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, studying the tactical display. Captain Mitchell, what are we looking at? Sarah analyzed the sensor readings from her intelligence station. Sir, I count at least 30 devourer vessels. They're unlike anything in our databases. Those ships appear to be literally eating the asteroids and smaller moons. The mass is being converted into some kind of energy. Commander Roberts from Tactical added his assessment. Admiral, their technology is definitely advanced, but their ship designs are inefficient for combat. They seem built for consumption rather than warfare. That's because they've never had to fight anyone who could fight back, Admiral Chen said grimly. All sensors, full sweep. I want to know everything about these ships. And get me a communication. Channel to the Zephyrian homeworld. The communication took several minutes to establish. When Elder Kess appeared on the main screen, Sarah was struck by the alien's appearance. The Zephyrian was tall and graceful, with silvery skin and large, intelligent eyes that currently showed exhaustion and desperation. Unknown vessels, this is Elder Kess of the Zephyrion Collective. Please identify yourselves. Are you here to help us or to claim what remains of our world? Admiral Chen stepped forward. Elder Kess, this is Admiral David Chen of the Terran Defense Fleet. We received your distress signal. Humanity has come to help. The relief that washed over Elder Kess's face was visible even across species lines. Humanity, you are the species from the small yellow star. Your signal came from so far away, we thought no one would hear us in time. We heard you, and we came as fast as we could. What's the situation on your homeworld? Admiral Chen, the Devourers have been consuming our outer colonies for 7 days. They will reach our homeworld within hours. Our weapons cannot penetrate their ships. They simply absorb any energy we direct at them and grow stronger. Sarah exchanged glances with Admiral Chen. Weapons that made the enemy stronger explained why the Zephyrians had been unable to defend themselves. Elder Kess, how many of your people are still alive? Perhaps 3 million on the homeworld, and maybe 500,000 scattered across our remaining colonies. Admiral, I must ask, how many ships have you brought? Admiral Chen smiled. And there was something in that smile that would have made the Devourers nervous if they had understood human expressions. 200 ships, Elder Kess, the entire Terran First Fleet. Even across the communication channel, they could see Elder Kess's shock. 200. Admiral, your species must be incredibly numerous to field such a fleet for strangers. We're not that numerous, Elder Kess. We just don't like bullies. Before Elder Kess could respond, alarms began blaring on the Indomitable. Commander Roberts called out from Tactical. Admiral, we've got incoming. 20 Devourer ships are breaking off from the planet and heading our way. Estimate contact in 12 minutes. Admiral Chen turned to the fleet communications officer. Signal all ships. Battle formation Alpha. Weapons free. Today we find out what happens when predators meet apex predators. The human fleet spread out into attack formation with practiced precision. The dreadnoughts formed the center line with their massive particle beam cannons, while the cruisers and destroyers moved to flanking positions. It was a formation designed for maximum firepower and mutual support. Sarah watched the tactical display as the Devourer ships approached. They were massive, organic-looking vessels that seemed to shift and flow like living things. Admiral, their approach pattern is strange. They're not using any recognizable military tactics. That's because they've never needed to, Admiral Chen replied. They're used to prey that runs or dies quickly. They don't know how to fight an organized military force. The first Devourer ship entered weapons range, and Admiral Chen gave the order. All ships, open fire. The space between the fleets erupted in light and energy. Human particle beams, railguns, and missile salvos poured toward the Devourer vessels. The aliens' response was immediate and terrifying. Their ships began to glow as they absorbed the energy from the human weapons, growing visibly larger. Admiral, Commander Roberts called out, They're absorbing our energy weapons, just like they did to the Zephyr. But the railgun slugs and missiles are having some effect. Admiral Chen nodded. He had expected this, signaled all ships, switched to kinetic weapons only, no energy weapons. They want to eat energy. Let's give them something they can't digest. The human fleet's tactics changed instantly. Instead of energy beams, they fired solid projectiles and explosive missiles. The Devourer ships, designed to consume energy, had no defense against chunks of metal traveling at significant fractions of light speed. The first Devourer ship to take a full salvo from a dreadnought's railguns simply came apart. Its organic hull couldn't handle the kinetic impact, and the ship broke into pieces that scattered across space. On the Zephyrian homeworld, Elder Kess watched the battle through their long-range sensors with amazement. How are they doing this? The Devourers have never been damaged before. Admiral Chen's voice came through the communication channel. Elder Kess, your people are energy-based weapons specialists. You tried to fight fire with fire. Humans come from what we call a death world. We learned to fight with rocks and sticks long before we learned to fight with energy. Sometimes the primitive approach is the right approach. The battle in space continued for 2 hours. The human fleet's superior tactics and adaptability began to show. The Devourers, despite their technological advantages, fought like animals rather than soldiers. They had individual power but no coordination, no strategy, no understanding of military doctrine. But the real surprise came when the Devourer mothership, a vessel the size of a small moon, emerged from behind the gas giant where it had been. Hiding, this ship was different from the others. It was clearly the command vessel, and it was heading straight for the Zephyrian homeworld. All ships, concentrate fire on that mothership, Admiral Chen ordered. The combined firepower of 200 human vessels focused on the massive alien ship. Railgun slugs the size of buildings slammed into its hull, and nuclear missiles detonated across its surface. But the ship was so large that even this devastating attack barely slowed it down. Admiral Sarah said, studying the sensor readings, "That ship is going to reach the planet. Even if we destroy it, the debris will cause massive damage to the surface." Admiral Chen was quiet for a moment. Then he made a decision that would be remembered in military history for centuries. Signal the Indomitable's engine room. Tell Chief Engineer Murphy to prepare for a ram attack. The bridge crew stared at him. A ram attack meant deliberately crashing their ship into the enemy. It was a suicide mission. "Sir," Commander Roberts said carefully, "the Indomitable is the flagship of the fleet. If we ram that ship, we'll be destroyed." "Maybe," Admiral Chen replied. "But that mothership won't reach the planet." Captain Mitchell signaled the rest of the fleet. "Continue the attack on the smaller ships. Don't follow us." Sarah felt her chest tighten. She had served with these people for weeks now. They were more than crew, they were family. "Admiral, request permission to evacuate non-essential personnel to other ships." "Denied. We don't have time, and we'll need everyone at their posts to make this work." He activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is the Admiral. We're going to ram the Devourer mothership to prevent it from reaching the Zeverian homeworld. Every person on this ship volunteered to serve in the fleet. Today we find out what that service means." The Indomitable broke from the main fleet and accelerated toward the massive alien vessel. As they approached, the ship's intercom crackled with voices from throughout the vessel. Engineers reporting optimal power, gunners reporting weapons ready, medical staff reporting ready for casualties. Not one person asked to be transferred off the ship. On the Zephyrian homeworld, millions of aliens watched as the human dreadnought flew directly toward the enormous devourer ship. Elder Kess spoke quietly to their aide. "They're going to sacrifice themselves for us. These humans are willing to die for a species they met only hours ago." The collision was visible from the planet's surface. The Indomitable, moving at maximum speed, struck the Devourer mothership just ahead of its main power core. The explosion that followed lit up the entire system. When the light faded, both ships were gone. The Devourer mothership had been completely destroyed, and the Indomitable had vanished in the explosion. But Admiral Chen's sacrifice had worked. The threat to the Zephyrian homeworld was eliminated. The remaining human fleet, now under the command of Admiral Stone aboard the Relentless, continued the battle against the smaller Devourer ships. Within 6 hours, every alien vessel had been destroyed or driven from the system. As the smoke cleared, Elder Kess established communication with the human fleet. "Admiral Stone, we owe you a debt that can never be repaid. Admiral Chen and his crew saved our entire species. Elder Kess, Admiral Chen would want me to tell you that no debt is owed. This is what humanity does. We protect those who need protection." But as the fleet prepared to depart, long-range sensors detected something that changed everything. Admiral Chen and 73 members of his crew had somehow survived in an escape pod that had been ejected just before the collision. They were badly injured but alive. When Admiral Chen was brought aboard the Relentless, his first words were to ask about the Zephyrian casualties. When told that their sacrifice had saved millions of alien lives, he simply nodded and said, "Good. That's what we came here to do." The rescue operation took 3 days. Human medical teams worked alongside Zephyrian healers to treat the wounded from both species. During that time, something remarkable happened. The two species began to understand each other. The Zephyrians learned that humans came from a world where everything was dangerous, where survival required constant adaptation and cooperation. They learned that humanity had developed their advanced military not for conquest, but for protection. The humans learned that the Zephyrians were master scientists and philosophers, that they had developed technology that could heal worlds and extend life across the galaxy. They learned that the Zephyrians had never known war because they had never encountered anything that required them to fight. On the day the human fleet prepared to depart, Elder Kess made an announcement that would change galactic history. "Admiral Stone, the Zephyrian Collective formally requests to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. We offer our scientific knowledge and our friendship to the species that saved us when no one else would." Admiral Stone smiled. "Elder Kess, on behalf of humanity, we accept your friendship, and we offer our protection to any species that asks for help." As the human fleet departed the Zephyrian system, they left behind a small garrison and a promise. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as protectors. The age of human isolation was over. Word of the battle spread quickly through galactic communication networks. The species that had been hiding from the Devourers for centuries suddenly realized that the threat was gone, destroyed by newcomers from a small yellow star. And in the depths of space, on worlds that had never heard of either humans or Zephyrians, other species began to take notice. The Deathworlders had announced themselves to the galaxy, and nothing would ever be the same.